Welcome to the Champion Within podcast, your go-to spot for unlocking a winning mindset. Whether you're an athlete chasing greatness, a parent cheering from the sidelines, a coach leading the charge, or an educator shaping young minds, this pod party is for you. Hey, if we haven't met before, I'm McCauley, your pod party host, former educator turned mindset mentor. I get to meet people where they are and get them to where they want to go. Expect awesome guest conversations with athletes, some solo chats to level up, and always leave this pod party with quick, powerful strategies to help you and your crew push past limits, embrace challenges, and crush goals both on and off the field. Let's tap into the champion within, because greatness is just a mindset away. Hey, welcome into the Champion Within podcast. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Today, I want to talk to you just a little bit about the part of the brain that we're tapping into so that we can change your mindset. I really think that it is important to share with you how this is happening because you can't really see inside your brain. But when you understand it, and I can share a couple little stories with you, I think an aha light bulb is going to go off. You can use this in any area of your life. So my student athletes, my parents, teachers, coaches, anyone who is a goal getter and wants to achieve something, you can use this. So I want you to realize that when you are changing your mindset, you are really focusing on what you want. I love to say to my clients, I think I say it when I'm on a podcast tour and someone is interviewing me, when you want to change your mindset, what you focus on becomes your reality. There's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system. I call it the RAS for short. If you're following along, you know I love those acronyms. RAS, reticular activating system. If you hear me talk about the RAS, this is what I'm talking about. The RAS is a pencil size going up the back of your brainstem, and this is the part of your brain that is like the gatekeeper of all of the information coming into your brain. We have so many things going on around us that your brain cannot possibly handle all of that information at once. Thankfully, the reticular activating system gets to work and puts whatever you think is important in the front of your brain. Let me give you an example here that most of us who have bought a car can probably relate to. Think about the last time you were going to purchase a car. Let's just pretend that you wanted to buy a Bronco. When you were out shopping for cars, you might start looking online for the Bronco. You're reading about it. You're looking at dealership websites to see if they have it there, reading about all of the details of the Bronco, the different versions of the Bronco, a Bronco Sport, you're upgrading to this level, all of the different things Bronco. You might start hearing commercials on the radio about the Bronco. You're watching TV and you see an ad pop up on YouTube TV about the Bronco. Broncos are everywhere. You take a walk in your neighborhood. Who knew your neighbor around the corner, they have a Bronco? You've been taking this route for years and you never noticed. How long have they had this Bronco? You're out driving down the highway, headed to work, and you just start seeing Broncos everywhere. This is the reticular activating system at work. Those Broncos were around. They were on the highway. The commercials were there. Ford was pushing them out online and putting the radio commercials out there long before you started thinking about, I might want a Bronco. However, your reticular activating system now focuses on the Bronco because you are doing things and taking action to tell your brain, this is important to me. That is the reticular activating system at work. You didn't necessarily write down a statement that said, I want to have a Bronco. Or maybe you did. Maybe you have a goal for that. That's fine too. But probably when you're shopping for a car, you just start thinking, I really like the Bronco. Or you start thinking about the type of car, maybe even the color of car too. The same thing goes when you're trying something new or you're practicing for your sport. What you focus on becomes your reality. Let's shift to think about are negative thoughts. If you are constantly thinking, I am not good at this, I am always late, I am disorganized, I am a hot mess, I hate running, I don't want to do this because I always fail, I'm never able to do whatever the thing is that you want to insert there. Put your sport in, a new skill, a job you're going to try to go and apply for. You start focusing on all of the negatives, the excuses, your weaknesses, those limiting beliefs that are creeping into your brain. Maybe you're even saying them out loud. You might be writing them down. You're telling your friends about it. You're talking about it with your husband. You're saying it at work. You're whispering it to yourself, that internal self-talk. Guess what's happening? The same thing that happened with the Bronco is happening in your brain in the reticular activating system. You are telling your brain, I'm not good at this. I can't go out and do this run because I'm not a runner. I have never been a runner. I hate running. You are teaching yourself and telling your brain, this is not important to me. I can't do this. So your brain wants to prove you right. Just like seeing all of those Broncos and hearing the ads, noticing the things in your everyday environment that were probably always there, your brain will prove you right here as well. So you will start to find reasons and things out in your environment. People will say things that you will latch onto. You're right. I shouldn't run because it's so cold. You know what? I did hear that Tina around the corner started a running program and it just didn't work out. I probably shouldn't do it either because, and you list all of the things. Somebody's talking about it. You latch on to that conversation. Now, if you knew you had to do some running for your sport, or maybe you're training for something, you want to get healthier, whatever it might be, and you started changing the way you think about it, it will be hard at first because you want that Bronco, right? That's easier to focus on. But when you start changing your thoughts by doing specific things like affirmations, writing them down, self-talk, not ignoring that limiting belief or pushing it down, but acknowledging it just as a thought, not sitting in it and saying, oh my goodness, all these horrible things, I'm never going to move past it. No, just acknowledge it. Okay, there's a thought. I'm going to move through it. Again, not saying it's going to be super easy, but if you would acknowledge it as the moment is happening now, and then I'm going to move past it, or what action can I take next when this comes into my brain? If you realize that you're saying this to yourself, I can't, or I don't know if I can, maybe I don't have time, whatever it is, I'm not good at, not yet, whatever those statements are that you discover are holding you back as your doubts or limiting beliefs, when you start to shift that self-talk and you notice them, you become aware of it, what do you do next? What you do next is most important. If you can focus on the now, that's your mindset, and being mindful and not pay attention or think about what happened yesterday or even an hour ago, or worry about what's going to happen after this thought is changed and you say something different to yourself, or take an action to go towards your goals, or what next week is going to be and who will think this, that, or the other thing, all of the shoulds and supposed tos. If you can let yourself be in the present moment and shift that self-talk, you can retrain the reticular activating system to focus on doing the thing that you actually want to do. Start the running program. Now, if you don't want to run, don't run. If you're an athlete, you might have to run. Maybe your coach needs you to be doing a training program. There are some things that you may have to train yourself to be able to do. However, if you're trying to start an exercise program, running is not your only option. Okay. I did have a client tell me one time, well, I hate running, so I'm never going to get in shape. And my face on the Zoom call probably looked a lot like, what? My eyes were darting and looking all around. What are you talking about? You'll never get in shape because you don't want to run. You know how many other ways you can move your body, right? Obviously, there are certain things that you may have to do. If you want to do a job where you have to be able to be physically fit, you might have to run. If you're an athlete that needs to run and your coach has a running program, even if you're not on the track team, you might have to run. If I'm on the field hockey team, good chance that my coach wants me to be able to run. I need to shift my mindset about running in order to show up and do well. Does that mean I'm going to go to the Olympics as an athlete on the track team, when I'm that field hockey player, just trying to shift to be able to show up and get a good run in. No, that's not the goal here. The goal is to be able to run for my sport. So I have to change my words in order to train that reticular activating system. I also like to tell people that it is the gatekeeper, like a bouncer. So if you think of going to that club, for me, when I was much younger, I would love to walk to that front of that VIP line. If I knew someone working at the club and they gave us the wave to come in, you better believe I was going in there. I had a few clubs here in the Philadelphia area where I would have a VIP card and I would just walk straight to the front. And I loved that. I'm not going to lie. When they said no cover for you, go straight downstairs. Here I am going, and I'm bringing my friends with me. Let's go to the front, right? Same thing with the reticular activating system. If you can't relate to that Bronco situation, think about it that way. What gets in? What gets into your brain as like, this is very important information. You are a very important person. I'm going to bring you to the front of the line. You get in. Let's go. You're in right away. Same thing here. What is in the front of your mind? If the negative self-talk is still coming in, it's going to take some work. If you're looking at it as that VIP situation and the bouncer is letting the VIP people in, that's what's in the front of your brain, the most important things. So if you want to do well in school, in your sport, whatever it is for your goals, that needs to be something that you're focused on. If you're not being mindful to put that in the front of your brain, it's not important. That is not a VIP or a very important thing for you. You have to find ways to make that important. In addition to creating affirmation statements that you could repeat and become, focusing on your self-talk, how you could reframe that and flip the script to something more positive or to focus on what you want. You could also pay attention to your achievements and celebrate them. Maybe you put that in an achievement journal at the end of your day, or a celebratory list. What are the things I accomplished today? Some days the list will be longer than others. And the little things count. Those small wins throughout your day or your week, they stack up to be the big win so that you get to that goal. So many times we want to get right to the finish line when you need to do the workout and build the endurance before you can get to the finish line with your best personal record time. You can't expect to be a beginner and get right there, have the best time and hit the mark, get your goal right away. This is virtually impossible for most people, especially if your goals are big. I want your goals to be big. They should scare you a little bit. That's the exciting part where you can live life to its fullest. Step into it. Tap into the power of the reticular activating system. And if you start using these small little changes and tools, you can retrain this part of your brain and achieve whatever it is that you're trying to do. Philly fans, we all know loving Philadelphia sports is like being in a toxic relationship. They drive us crazy, but we just can't quit them. So to ease the pain, I've partnered with Philly Goat to bring you some awesome gear with an exclusive discount. Check out the link and use the code, because even when our teams break our heart, at least we can look good. Oh, Cowboys fans, don't even bother. This deal is not for you. Seriously, step away from the link. As for the rest of you, grab your gear now. Go Philly. What you're doing is not the only thing that impacts the reticular activating system. The people you're surrounding yourself with have a huge impact on the reticular activating system and your mindset. The words that they are saying out loud about themselves, about you, impact your actions and your beliefs. If they are constantly saying things that are negative, we can't, we shouldn't, they're telling you, who do you think you are kind of statements. They're downplaying your success. They don't want you to truly win. And you know who these people are. They might be in your circle. If you're surrounding yourself with these type of people, it is impacting that reticular activating system. And that's what you're focusing on, because that is what you're hearing. It is not just what you were saying to yourself, what you're saying out loud, what you're writing down. It is the people that are around you most often. They've done studies on this, and They'll say sometimes the top 3 or the top 5. So let's even go with the top 5. The top 5 people that you are surrounded by, they will change the way you see yourself and the world around you. If you have a student or an athlete who is constantly being told, you're not good enough, you can't do this, you as the coach or the teacher, you have a hard job. If you are the teacher or the coach and you know that this student is surrounded by maybe it's peers, maybe it's family members, or maybe the team has been negative this past year and you're trying to change that culture, and this student could be doing better and you're trying to figure it out, look at what they're hearing from the people who are surrounding them. If that is what they hear, all this negativity and all of these I can't, you can't type of things, you're fighting against that. You have to teach them and help them retrain their brain how to recognize it. And in some cases, set a boundary so that they are not near that as much as they are right now. It doesn't mean they can totally get rid of all of these things. Sometimes you live in a house with people like this. Sometimes you have people on a team. You can't get rid of those teammates, but you can move away in some situations on the team. In a team situation, maybe you change where you stand in the huddle, or maybe you don't sit near them on the bus. You make some decisions. If it's the household situation, maybe you set some boundaries and you come up with a plan of what you are going to do internally to manage these things, because you cannot, in some cases, change the people at home. Even though it'd be great if we could get everybody on board, we can't always do that. Anytime I work with a team and the booster parents are the ones who fund the program, and then they come to the workshops afterwards for my quick session on this is what we just taught your student athlete, I want you to know, because when everyone knows, we all win. If the whole village is involved, the child does better athletically, academically, in life. When that happens, my heart literally explodes. I get to be that weird person who starts putting stuff on Facebook and Instagram saying, I'm obsessed with these people. Their parents are so involved in it. You just don't realize what a difference that is, because I'm telling you that I have been through the journey with students and with athletes when I was a coach and a teacher, watching them come from families that don't support like that. And the difference is amazing. It is absolutely life-changing when that can happen, but you can't always control that. You have to teach that athlete and that student, once they get old enough, how to manage that internal voice and set those boundaries. Who you surround yourself with. And, it's hard sometimes to tell your teenagers or that student, why are you with these people? If you separated from them, you would be so much better. I had a student who I desperately wanted to save. I loved him. He was one of the most talented football players I have ever watched step on a field. I absolutely loved this kid. This student was right before I resigned. It was pre-pandemic, came from an amazing family. They were very supportive. I taught his older brother, who reached out to me at one point saying, what can we do to get him away from this group of people that he's hanging out with? I had him in class. Some of my other colleagues who I was very close with had taught him when he was younger, I believe 9th or 10th grade level. And now he was at senior year, approaching senior year, I believe. There are so many times that I would lean in and whisper to him and say, think about what you're doing. Just walk away from this group. Blame me. I would pull my car over on my way home when I was leaving. My day is over. I'm about to go pick up my children from school, and I would see him. I would turn around and pull my car over and stop the car. Sometimes I would get out because he would see me, and he would sometimes run, or at least quickly walk away with this group. And I would not even care, walk right up and say, what are you doing? Why are you with them? And he would put on the what are you talking about? We're cool. Okay. Don't be so much, you're extra, all that stuff. But I knew, and everyone except him knew, that this group of people who were, some were students and others were former students, were bringing him down to the point where we could watch this unfolding in front of us, and we could see that it was poisoning his journey of life, athletics, his future. But he refused to look. He refused to walk away from this group. And his family was great. His teachers loved him. And we were all trying, to the point where it was causing us so much stress and anxiety. I would write Post-it notes and put it on his locker. I would even have them in his classrooms before he showed up to his second block. I would have Post-it notes there, just quick little positive notes. So he would remember how great he is, trying to get him to be away from this group of students who were negatively impacting how he showed up. He was fighting. He was doing illegal things out in the community, inside the school walls. And we all were watching this unfold. And I can tell you what we did wrong is we tried to do it. I wish that I had realized at that time what I do now with athletes, with people in general. I couldn't do that for him. His mom couldn't do that. His older brother, who I also taught and loved, he couldn't do that. My teacher friends, they couldn't do it. He had to do it. I should have been teaching him how to do it. I should have been saying, if you do this, this will happen. So for example, I could have told him, when you are hanging out with these people and you hear them say this, giving him specific examples of the illegal activity, for example, that he was doing, I could have said, in that moment, be aware of it and decide, make a statement. I should have been writing Post-it notes on this is what you can do. Instead of giving him positive quotes and saying like, you're so athletic, you're great, reminding him of his strengths and things like that, get away from those kids. I should have been teaching him these tools that I teach now in workshops. Honestly, it is one of my biggest regrets, this student, because I didn't teach him this. It isn't that I didn't know how to teach him, because I was teaching this mindfulness actually in the in-school suspension rooms with some of our toughest students, because I thought this would help them, and it did help them in many ways. One of my biggest regrets in the end of my career is him, because where he ended up. And I can tell you that it wasn't in college to play sports where it should have been. I can tell you it wasn't at an internship. I can tell you it wasn't singing somewhere with his amazing voice. He got arrested. And unfortunately, I've lost track because I left, and I don't even know if he's still alive. If he had had tools to figure out how not to be surrounded by these people, I think his life would have been different. I really do. So surrounding yourself with people who are bringing you down, or surrounding yourself with people who are positive, changes that reticular activating system. The way you do this with your students, your child, your student athletes, is you cannot just say, don't hang out with them. You cannot just put a positive Post-it note on their desk or on their locker. You cannot just pull over your car. You cannot just pull your car up, jump out, and say, what the hell are you doing? Are you kidding me? That kid sells drugs. You cannot be hanging out with him. You need to go inside and keep the book for the basketball team. I know football season's over, but just go inside. Blame it on me. Say, Mrs. McCauley said I had to come in here. It's not going to work. Now, sometimes these little things can be great for students. I will still do those positive Post-it notes. If you are a teacher doing that, keep doing that. Because it takes 7 positives to outweigh 1 negative. Some of your kids coming into the classroom are hearing so many negative things from their home environment, their walk to school, the peers that they are surrounded by, some of the drama on their team that you have no idea about, because they don't want to tell the coach, they don't want to tell the teacher. But I'm telling you right now that that's not going to save the kid who is already hanging out with these people. It's not going to work. You need to teach them these tools. A tool for this type of situation would be for him to recognize these things. and start seeing them. A tool would be to start teaching the kids when they're younger, to start teaching that football team when they're in middle school. Mindfulness, success, SMART goals, where you're being specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. And tools when this person says something negative or suggests this or wants you to go in the different direction of your goal, what you do. When you have a plan for that. And there are all kinds of tools in mindfulness training that you can teach students instead of putting a positive Post-it note on his desk when he's already in deep with the kids who are ruining him. Don't stop doing the positive Post-it notes. I love them. I did them all the time. I wrote them up on marker boards in my locker rooms. I did them for my teams. Keep doing it. The more positive people they're surrounded by, the better. But that positive Post-it note is not going to fix the kid who is already surrounded by the negativity and is in deep. We have our affirmations to change the reticular activating system. We have to recognize and reframe our own self-talk to change the reticular activating system. We need to look at who we are surrounding ourselves with. You need to encourage your students, your children, as young as possible to hang out with people that are uplifting and positive and to be that positive, uplifting person. That is something else that I teach within these workshops. Not only do you need to learn how to recognize someone who is sabotaging your goals, but also you need to be what I call a crown keeper or a chin upper, someone who is that positive vibe and not the fake, it's always sunshine and rainbows, rainy day, donuts. No, not that type of person, because everyone can spot that fake vibe that that person brings. I'm talking about authentic, really caring about their teammates and how to do that. You can teach your team and kids how to do that, but you need to do it before it's a hot mess express. If you wait till it's a hot mess, it's going to be much harder. Can it be done? Absolutely. Have I gone in with teams and done it? Absolutely. Does it take longer? Absolutely. Because we're already in it. Think about it, right? When you've already had a bad habit and you're continuously doing this thing, it's harder to break it. Think of the reticular activating system as the area of your brain that can change everything when you're trying to reach your goals. This is the part of the brain that you are tapping into when you change your mindset, when you do mindset training, when you're doing visualization, self-talk, affirmations, any of the things that you see the Olympic athletes doing, professional athletes, high school athletes, people in general, when they're talking about mindset training, and I retrained my brain for success, they're talking about the reticular activating system. And you can tap into it too. You just have to decide what you focus on becomes your reality. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I will see you next time on The Champion Within. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Whether you are going to coach, teach, cheer from the stands, or hit the field yourself, remember, mindset is everything. Don't forget to follow the show because we all need a little extra motivation, humor, and some sanity in our busy lives. Go unleash that champion within you, one step at a time. I'm rooting for you always.